final series of the day is Misfits Academy versus Millenium. So far, bans are pretty standard. I assume it's going to be Zyra. Then we're going to see a Rengar ban. And then we're going to see... No?
No.
Oh, no, it's Camille.
Okay, close your eyes. We're going to keep doing this. Okay.
Camille, Rengar. We're also going to get a Malzahar
we haven't
ban.
got our second ban. You have to call sides. What's banned now? Second by Misfits. Yeah, you're right.
Then it's going to be a Rengar.
Okay, wait. We've got 24 seconds on this. This is the best game of like...
This is the best game.
Best game I've ever played during... Okay, what did you say, Si?
Rengar.
No, you're wrong.
Did they go LeBlanc?
Yes, they did go LeBlanc second. Okay, what's next for Misfits Academy?
So for Misfits Academy, is it going to be a Jace ban? I want to say that it'll be a Jace ban. They'll look to early prioritize either a Kha'Zix or a Varus.
Oh, dear God, he got it right. Okay, and now Millenium?
The final ban will be Rengar.
Okay. I see, the thing is, red side's a lot easier to call than blue side.
So I want to say the first pick is Kha'Zix now.
Okay, so Rengar hasn't been banned yet.
Not yet?
We'll see. No.
Okay. Can I open my eyes now?
Yeah, I think as soon as the Rengar is banned, you can open your eyes. You have to keep them closed until then. If it's not a Rengar ban, I think you have to keep your eyes closed through the entirety of picking that. It's a Swain ban!
Oh, no! Oh, wait, actually, it's a Swain ban! Wow, okay, so now if you... Alright, I was not expecting that. So, I want to say that Jisoo plays some Swain. Definitely a respect ban towards him. So there we are, the first pick on the Varus priority. At least I got that big, right?
Why don't you prioritize Rengar? Like, if Rengar is perma-ban on red side, why do you not just pick the Rengar here for Misfits Academy?
Either it's because Kadir is not as confident on it, maybe they have answers to it, or they have higher priority on something like a Varus.
It just seems a very aggressive move to do. And I mean, like, we've still got Rengar open. If Millenium picked this Kha'Zix, for Rengar to go through 2 rotations of picks, to me, seems incredibly odd.
Well, it's literally just a matter of this. It reminds me of a great quote that Deficio made, which is, just because a champion is S tier, it does not matter if you cannot play it at S tier, right? So, to me, this is just saying that Millenium are more comfortable on the Kha'Zix, and it's saying that Misfits Academy just have higher priority. There's no reason why they couldn't rotate the Rengar now. He does perfectly fine into the Kha'Zix. It is not necessarily a bad matchup for either jungler. It's just that Rengar is very powerful in team fights, largely because of his crowd control removal. But I want to talk a little bit more about this Thresh pick, because this was something that Northgaren pulled out a lot over in the North American Challenger Series, and it's something that Millenium as an org a little bit well known for, because Masterwork was a very reputable Thresh player back when he played for the original roster.
So I think also he played it a lot, Northgaren played it a lot in the UK scene for District, who are one of the teams that dominated the UK Masters. It's the Lee Sin pick here for MSF, so it's a little bit odd. And in all honesty, I know that, like, we talk about, you know, you can't play Rengar to S tier, you shouldn't play Rengar, but Rengar is still incredibly powerful. And even if you can only play Rengar to A tier, I still feel he has enough impact in a fight for it to deserve a pick.
All I can say is I'm glad we stopped playing the eyes closed game, because I would have lost
not have done well,
ago.
After the Varus pick, perhaps you would have been lost. But yeah, so Lee Sin, Braum are the picks here for Misfits.
I am very surprised that we have a Braum. This was actually a champion that Dreams played a lot of last split in the summer 2016 Challenger Series. But back then it made sense, because it was like Alistair, Braum, Tom Kench with the big dogs.
It's the melee supports.
Yeah, so I mean, it's fine into Thresh. The all-in potential of Thresh is heavily mitigated by the disengage power of Braum. And, I mean, that's what he really is. He acts as a beefy front line that is very heavy in terms of disengage. So Millenium going for the Corki means that they're picked up a very safe mid laner. They can now look to pinch mid lane if they want to. But I think if you're Misfits, you just look to pinch AD carry. So you ban away the Jhin. You can ban away... I'm not sure if you want to ban away the Ashe. I know that Pinoy actually used to play a lot of Ashe. Yeah. But given the high priority on lethality, you have to wonder whether or not there may be other AD carries that have higher value. I'm surprised we actually haven't seen much Misfortune yet.
She's very low mobility, though. Like, we've seen it once or twice, but it tends to get caught out, especially when you've got something like a Kha'Zix or Lee Sin on the enemy team, or an Echo who can just jump onto that back line.
There's always that risk. But as we were talking about, Medic, Mr. Medic.
That's Mr. Vedius. So yeah, Ryze bans, Cassio bans as well. Fiora's been banned out here by Misfits. They're actually focusing top lane rather than that support role. Well, I don't know why I said support role. They were never going to, rather than the AD carry role.
The thing is, if you're now pinching out top, Millenium could just go for a Shen, and you've just banned out all of the good picks that actually do very nicely into Shen.
Unless you ban out Shen.
Unless you ban out Shen.
In which case, we're going to end up like Maokai Poppy, top lane.
Could very well be.
Ziggs.
Interesting way to round out. So that's largely directed towards Pinoy. I yet to actually see the Ziggs AD carry in Europe. We have seen it over in Korea. We've seen it in some challenger leagues across the world. We've also seen it in the LCS. But the priority hasn't been there. We talked a lot about it. There it is. That's what we wanted to see. This does feel very much like a Pinoy champion. Very teamfight heavy. Works beautifully with the lethality build. I really like the Misfortune pick, and I think that it actually does very well into this composition as well.
You think it does well into Varus Braum, even with the Unbreakable Shield that can come up?
We can talk more about it when we actually get into game.
I totally agree with you. Shen is the lock here for Misfits Academy, and it's going to be the Cat Arena here as well. We've seen this matchup once before today. Selfie played the Cats, got a double kill early on, and was able to snowball from there.
Yeah.
As long as Mimic just says, okay, I'm not going to gank mid lane at all for the first 6 minutes, Pretty should be fine here.
I'm looking at an early snowball from Misfits Academy. Lee Sin looking to get some early ganks, maybe get the Cat Arena roaming, or just roaming. Both those things are great for the Cat. You also have the Shen to provide an aggressive playstyle in the Cat Arena. You have the 1-3-1, send Cat off to a side lane, put Shen up in the other. Also great team fight power with the Braum and the Cat. Varus Ultimate 2, a lot of options here for Misfits Academy. Very well-rounded roster, but I do think that it relies pretty heavily on getting your early laners ahead.
So it's much more a snowball comp than the Millenium comp, which is a little bit more teamfight oriented.
Oh, yes. Much more towards like that mid-game spike. So you just want fairly safe lanes. You want the Corki to get his Trinity Force. You want Pinoy to have completed his Ghost Blade. Likely Black Cleaver second, rather than perhaps the Dustblade or the Edge of Night. Those will come a little bit later, so that you have that big teamfight shred ultimate. You've then got the Maokai front line, and I think it's less about early snowballing for Steel, and more about just maintaining control. Keep your eyes on where the Lee Sin is doing. Move maybe with Norskern to get a couple picks, put a bit of pressure down onto the Cat so that she's not snowballing as hard. But as you rightly said, it's more about snowballing, more about patience to the side of Millenium, and then more about early snowballing, early pressure is what I want to see from Misfits Academy.
That's kind of the Misfits raison d'etre, isn't it?
It certainly is.
Modus operandi. They're just like, yeah, we're going to go aggressive. We're going to try and play very aggressive in the early game and get a snowball rolling, and perhaps they'll be able to do it this game. Millenium, a little bit more cautious, a little bit more defensive. How do they play the early game really against Misfits here? Is it just all about controlling vision in that river?
Just farm, farm away, farm. Ideally,
play some Stardew Valley on
the
your
bottom
second
lane.
monitor.
When you look at the early clear, it's probably going to be a little bit difficult for the Thresh and Misfortune to push, because when you compare it to a Varus Q and his E, it's super easy to clear these waves and get pushed under turret. I'm a little bit surprised that the Misfortune was necessarily picked into a Braum shield. You have to remember how good his shield actually is into that ultimate, which will mitigate a little of their team fighting strength, but it also means that the Braum has to be very aware of when he uses that shield.
Well, we are into game for our final series of the day. If you think Misfits Academy are going to win, tweet us with the hashtag MFAWin, and if you think Millenium are going to win, it's hashtag MILWin. It's the first time, really, we've seen either of these two rosters play at a competitive level. We've watched Millenium face up against LDLC, perhaps not as serious as this. They did lose the game to them. They did win out in the end, but Misfits Academy is very much a new roster to our eyes. Where are your focus points, Vedius? Who are you looking at and saying, this is the player I think really needs to kick off?
Cosq, a local challenger resident. He's been around for a while. Yet to actually play in anything above challenger, he's been in every single challenger split here in Europe. I think that he can soon apply for permanent residency. But he is definitely someone that has always been good, but never quite good enough. And if he ever wants to change that perspective from other people, a Cat Arena game on his first debut here in spring 2017 is a great way to do it.
I think that he's a little bit unlucky because we have a dearth of great mid laners in Europe as well. It's a very saturated position for him to have to try and compete for. And sometimes, you know, other people do rise up the ranks and challenge you for these spots. But at the moment, he has solidified himself that mid lane for Misfits Academy. And alongside the rest of his squad, will be looking to get one of those top 2 spots this split.
That's the big question mark, really. So far, we've only seen 2 O's today.
Yeah.
Convincing wins from both Schalke and Fnatic Academy. This could be a great way for Millenium to get that early lead. But we'll have to see whether or not the Misfits organization can maintain that dominance that they've had from the previous Challenger Split and Summit.
Been consistently one of the best performing teams, even in LCS, like even in Spring Split now, they're playing incredibly well. Perhaps higher than some people's expectations of them, but Misfits Academy have that backing. Of course, Millenium been around for a long time as well. Mostly a challenger organization. They've been challenging for those spots, usually getting up towards playoffs, up in those upper echelons of the competition, but not quite eking their way back into the LCS.
That's what I like to see from you. Playing aggressive, making your dominance known, but it also does mean that it becomes a little bit harder to farm because you've just used all your abilities to trade, and you end up throwing out the waves, which you don't necessarily want to do. So actually a lot of poke coming out from the Millenium bottom lane. It helped that they were able to get the early push, got that level 2 quickly, forced the Misfits bottom lane back, and now that will enable Steel to gain river control. He's got that Scuttle Crab. He's actually moving very aggressively towards Kadir's jungle.
Kadir's already cleared it all out though, so won't be too worried about this. Down towards his Krugs. First gank, I feel, has a huge impact in this game. If Misfits can get ahead, they can get that snowball rolling down the hill, but if Millenium are able to either get a good counter gank off or get the first blood for themselves, they can really delay any snowball that Misfits are attempting to gain.
I entirely agree with you. I like that Mimic has actually put a bit of vision down in the top half of his jungle. He's very conscientious of the possible roam or the early dive coming out from Misfits Academy. We see a lot of harass down onto the bottom lane of Misfits.
Pinoy's low as well though, and Dreams looking for the concussive blows, has the Winter Spike down, there's the Unbreakable as well. Exhaust used, concussive blows about to proc, heal, flash in by Yuki, but the exhaust comes down. Dreams now in the front line, Yuki low, Norscaven tagged up with those concussive blows once again. Here comes Steel looking to steal himself for double, jumping forward onto Dreams, hook in, Braum dead, first blood, Millenium.
Good start for Millenium, and it was only a matter of a few seconds between the two junglers. Steel was already making his way bottom lane, even though Kadir was level 4 and could have easily swung that in favor of Misfits. It's simply a matter of Steel getting there first. Great first blood and great start for Millenium.
And it delays any hopes that Misfits had of being able to win this lane even more. Pinoy with the pressure. So much damage pushed onto Yuki. It looked for a moment, as you said, like Misfits could get back into it, but the rotation by Steel was superb.
So Pinoy actually ate a lot of harass initially, but it's that double up that causes Yuki to play a little bit more defensively. If he could have gotten closer sooner and started to proc those concussive blows, maybe it would have been enough, but notice there's also a big minion wave, which means that he can't go for that flash Q aggressively and get the kill. He knows the pings are coming out, they know that the jungle is there, and the fact that Yuki actually stuck around to get the last bit of harass off, I feel was the big mistake made by him. Dreams dies in the pursuit of keeping his AD carry alive, and Millenium end up picking up first blood.
Could have been Dreams, more like a nightmare for Misfits Academy there in the early game. Kadir and Kosku looking to see if they can catch up Steel. He is full HP, but if he rotates down here, it's going to go straight into a bush. Ignite is available. There's the Sonic Wave, there's Steel, there's the kill. Kadir takes him down, a flash away by Steel as well, so no flash on that Kha'Zix now.
No reason why you should have wasted that flash. You were dead in the water. Nothing you could do against the Cat Lee Sin combo this early on.
Kosku kept his Ignite as well, which is really good.
It is very good. Recognize that they had more than enough damage to secure the kill. And this is the sort of thing that you want from your Katarina. Largely because we talked about it. She relies very much on playing aggressively. She wants to try and get an early lead where she can run away with the game, start rotating around the map, look for this snowball. Getting that assist on the board is going to make that easier, especially when you take the jungler off the map, because it enables her to play that more aggressively in the laning phase.
It does need to get that cat rolling, really, though. Teleport in by Jisoo means that will be down for a while, but he's almost 6, so he'll have that stand united pretty soon. We've seen a few tower dives in the bottom lane. It tends to be a stalwart of macro play in patches 7 and onwards. Who between these two teams is really most looking down towards that bottom lane and that first tower?
It very much depends on what we've been talking about throughout the day, to be honest, about whether or not the laners are low or whether or not the tower is low. So far what we've seen is Misfortune and Thresh have had heavy on the push priority, largely because it's difficult for the Braum to trade back with the Thresh, so he's just constantly throwing out that harass. Combined it with the Misfortune slow into the double up, it's very difficult and awkward for them to successfully get those trades on. Which means that slowly and surely, ooh, gank at the bottom, not quite going to work out. But as we were saying, it's basically just Misfits Academy constantly being pushed underneath their turret. So they get chunked out, the tower gets slowly withered down, and then what you do is around the 8-9 minute mark, Pretty picks up his package, and then he just moves, he pushes out mid, moves around bot along with Steel, and they either force the bottom lane away, or they go for a dive and they get themselves a kill. The thing they have to be careful of is that Shen ultimate. It's always something that Misfits can use to turn around a fight, turn around a play, and if you don't respect it, you're going to give away a lot of opportunities to your opponents.
You are a little bit of a CS lead for Pinoy in the bottom lane. 12 ahead for him. You know, it's good alongside that kill means that he's got the serrated Dirk, whereas Yuki has gone down the tier of the Goddess route on this Varus as the first pickup. No Dirk for him. Both the junglers seem to be building up towards that warrior enchant, although Steel's gone skirmishes and Kadir's gone trackers, so slight difference between the knife choices, but both equally impactful on these junglers.
Looks like it. Vision isn't that surprising on Lee Sin.
Yeah.
It helps you ward jump, makes you do cool plays.
Cool plays are the important bit. The hashtag EUCS big plays.
I mean, Kadir wants to be remembered, you know. Every jungler wants to be remembered. So if he can get that flashy insec off, then why not? Why would you not? Why would you not invest the time into getting it?
Pretty sure Steel with the skin is the flashy insec.
Steel with the... I missed that. The words were too fast for me.
Steel with this skin is the flashy insect. Kazakhstan has got gold on him. Anyway.
Whoosh!
He's flashy and he's an insect.
Got it.
Okay.
Red Steel.
Trying to steal the red. Not going to get it. Kadir's just going to bring it back. Northscaren's coming up as well, but Kadir will secure that one for himself. And Steel is still only level 5 here to the 6 of Kadir. Quite far behind on CS as well, 42 to 24.
Certainly looks like it. A lot of that does come from the fact that Kadir killed him and then took all his jungle, to which Steel was a little bit happy about. Ironic that his name is Steel and he's yet to steal anything. Whoa!
Oh, that's some damage. Yeah,
that is
nothing
lethality.
Misfits Academy can do for now.
He gets a crit into the ultimate, and Yuki's just like, I'm fine, the last hit. Oh my god, this hurts so much!
This is fine, everything burning around him, but yeah, Steel will take the Ocean Drake, snuck it away under Kadir's nose, hits that 6 as well. And actually it looks like Kadir's going down towards the bottom lane, but there's a control ward here to spot him out.
Kadir is here to strike some fear.
Far and near.
I've run out of words to rhyme with it now.
Whispering in your ear.
Oh, good one, good one.
Stares with a leer.
What? Is
a
it?
leer, like leering at someone?
When I think leer, I think of the Pokemon attack that reduces defense.
It's the same thing.
Oh.
That's the where the word is from. If you leer at someone, you stare at them intimidatingly.
Ah.
Deary me, did you not go to school?
That explains
Oh, you're
a
Welsh,
lot.
that explains a lot, sorry.
Wow.
Misfits Academy pushing out the wave in the bottom lane. Millenium just trying to answer back some of this poke from Yuki. Now he's got the tier, he can use those arrows a little bit more freely. Doesn't need to be too worried about conserving his mana.
First day on the job, you got a bit of sass. But it's alright. As you rightly said, tier has been picked up. We'll make it harder for the bottom lane of Misfits Academy to trade against Pinoy and Northscaren. We've already seen what happens if you try to trade as Coscu. Gone very aggressive.
He's trying to trade straight in onto Pretty, who will just Valkyrie away. Ignite was used there as well by Coscu. Kadir is setting up for something here. Maybe just ward jumping behind the turret. Here he goes. Flashy insect plays from Kadir. There he goes. Safeguard. Why the Stand United? Like, if the play is great, they get the kill, but you don't need the Shed ultimate.
No, it could have just all been Kadir, and instead Jisoo needs to...
Jisoo steals his golden moment.
Yeah, he does.
You know?
Yes, he does. Nevertheless, successful gank on the mid lane. Pretty used his exhaust to buy some time. Didn't bother flashing because he knew that there was no point. The kill doesn't go to Coscu, which means that his snowball isn't going to be as potent. But looking at Coscu, fascinating that he's actually decided to go for a very early Hex Drinker. I personally don't agree. I don't think you need it against a Corki. While his magic damage is definitely potent, I feel as though as a Katarina, you want to try and get that early Gunblade as quickly as you can. It's such a great item, and it gives her so much damage that delaying it, I feel, is not something that you want on a champion that relies so heavily on getting early leads and snowballing.
Speaking of early leads, look at Pinoy. He's already got his Yumu's Ghostblade completed, miles ahead of Yuki. And we continue to see pressure from this Millenium bottom lane. Pinoy and Northscaren, known as aggressive players, just trying to put the pain down onto Yuki here. Needs to be so cautious. One double up could spell his doom.
Now you're starting to see this map movement from the Millenium jungle support duo. This is what we wanted to see. The fact that Katarina has just backed will enable them to get a little bit more control, but Misfits want to try and respond.
Straight onto Norskeren, knock him up with a Glacial Fissure, kick him back with a Dragon's Rage, and this should be Norskeren falling somehow. Still alive though, Kadir caught in the box. Here's Kozq looking for the resets, gets one. Pretty takes out Kadir, the bullet time destroys the dreams of Misfits. They've taken down Q2, Kozq jumping in, Pinoy so low. Kozq gets another reset, dodges the play as well. This man is a monster. Norskeren's dead. It's a double for Kozq. He took down 3 in the fight.
These are the kills that Kozq desperately needed, but he has to be careful as Pretty hanging around, gets taunted up.
And he is trying to escape, just looking to see where he can go because Yuki and Jisoo are chasing him down. Let's get a little bit of a shield from the Hex Drinker and might escape the final arrow coming out, flashing by Yuki. He missed the arrow and he auto landed, but needed the arrow to connect to get the kill.
A swing and a miss for Yuki results in no additional kills for Misfits Academy, but look at the setup. They realize what Millenium is doing. They go for the immediate punish onto Norskeren. Good exhaust here from Kadir, so the kill is not immediate, but Katarina comes from one side, Pretty comes from the other. When you group up as Millenium in this narrow corridor for Katarina to just get her ultimate off, it's going to result in bloodshed. Pinoy, if he just shifted his ultimate ever so slightly to the right, this ultimate could have swung in his favor. But Kozq gets reset after reset after reset, and he's just picked himself up 3 kills. This is the early game lead we wanted to see. This is the early game Kozq that is going to result in Misfits having a great first half of this game.
Yeah, now has the Hextech Revolver and the Bilgewater Cutlass completed, almost at that Gunblade. You were saying about a minute ago you would have liked to see him get it sooner. Well, this is a lot sooner for you, VODS. And now, Millenium once again straight on the back foot. It looked so good for them for so long. Not much they are actually able to do into this Misfits alliance now.
As of yet, not quite. But I'm just having a look at the gold. And right now, Katarina does have enough to get a Gunblade, so she can just mosey on back, pick up that big spike if she so desires.
Yep.
And then look to roam around the map, because now Corki is going to really struggle. I like the fact that Corki went for an early Hex Drinker, because it mitigates a lot of the kill threat that Katarina does have. But it's not going to stop her from running, because she can just clear. And look, you can already see her making these map movements, posturing around the bottom half of the map. Dragon is going to be spawning soon. If Misfits can get a bit of an advantage bot, whether it be burning a couple summoners, which are actually unavailable, or getting themselves a kill, forcing them back, then it results in a free objective for the side of Misfits.
Kadir going in on towards Pinoy, Norskeren there as well, kicked back. Jisoo joins with the Stand United. They get the kill. Dreams almost falls though, just to the ultimate coming out from Pinoy. However, Misfits Academy once again secure themselves a kill, and now we're looking towards this tower as well. Steel coming here to try and defend because Mimic is pushing in the top lane. They want first tower for themselves. However, Misfits Academy have something very different to say.
Good use of the ultimate from Jisoo, but I actually don't think that this will result in a tower for Misfits. They could very well lose that top tier 1. I feel as though Dragon should be the higher priority for Misfits right now, unless they look for a dive. But look at the positioning of Pretty, cutting off the map movement from Kozq.
That's the first tower going down. It is in favor of Millenium, as you said, and it equalizes that gold differential. It's only about 300 between these two teams now, whereas it could have been much, much more.
Now, Medic, we're looking at this early Dragon. Millenium, at the moment, have priority over it. Katarina has been slightly chunked out. Kadir is relatively low. I think that they're not going to even bother trying to contest it.
It's only a Cloud Drake at the end of the day. It's not the biggest Drake. Kadir goes in, safeguards out. Perhaps he hadn't seen that the Blast Cone had spawned. Perhaps it only just spawned. I didn't quite see. So he's like, oh, I might as well. I can safeguard away anyway. The threat always is if Norskeren lines up a hook, you're dead. So he tried to go for it, didn't get it. Still playing pretty well on this Lee Sin. Consistently setting up a very... it's the same gank path time and time again. Jumping in next to the turret or just behind the turret and then coming in with the Stand United. It feels a little bit forced at points, but it's getting them kills.
But it's not getting them anything on the map right now, because even though Misfits Academy have the kill lead, Millenium have more dragons, more towers, and they're staying even in gold, which is the most important thing for them, because they still have a very potent mid-game team fighting composition. You're about to see Pinoy complete his second major item. You can see that Pretty has already completed his Trinity Force. This Millenium lineup is not weak, and they cannot afford to be underestimated, especially when it comes to fighting around these mid-game objectives.
They've got so much area control as well, with the Corki rockets, with the bullet time, with Thresh hooks as well, looking for Kadir. Safeguards away back to his own jungle, retreats with his tail between his legs. But on the converse of that, on the flip side, Misfits Academy are pretty strong in area control as well. You know, you've got Death Lotus, you've got Chains of Corruption, you've got the Braum chucking down the Glacial Fissure. Both of them have relatively strong team fighting compositions, although perhaps it takes Misfits a little bit more to get going.
The big risk for Misfits is the double exhaust that both Pretty and Norskeren have. One of the big things that all assassins struggle with is that exhaust. And if you jump in a little bit too early, try to get the Death Lotus, then you have that big slap in the face where you say, no damage from you. And there's nothing you can really do as Norskeren looking for a flank.
Flash, play onto Kadir. Stand United used though, and Steel goes low. Kadir hooked into the bullet time just at the edge, and Jisoo will save him with that taunt. Pinoy tries the double up. Not quite a flashy enough play for us today. Doesn't get the kill. And still, Misfits Academy survived the full-on engage from Millenium.
So many small micro outplays from both teams right there. When we get the replay, I really want to highlight exactly how Kadir was able to get away from that one, because he played that so well. The fact that Millenium go for that engagement and Misfits come out unscathed without losing any members is absolutely massive for them, because Millenium really should have been the ones to come out ahead.
That was the Millenium summoners coming back off cooldown as well, and now they've burnt through a lot of them. Pinoy has no flash, Norskeren has no flash, Steel has no flash, Mimic doesn't have TP. You've got through a lot of your summoner spells, and it allows Misfits Academy just a moment more to keep this snowball rolling.
Well, that's what they would like to do. But you have to bear in mind that Millenium moving very aggressively into the enemy jungle. But watch exactly what Kadir does, okay? So first, he's going to use a kick right at that instant moment to knock Norskeren out. He ends up eating the hook, and then the Channel is enough where he ward hops, and then he just moves away from Jisoo to prevent the double up from actually securing the kill. Such good awareness from Kadir to help his mid laner survive and to get away himself.
Yeah, great play by him. A kick onto the Thresh as well, because it means even if you get hooked, you're getting hooked away from the bullet time. Just ever so slight micro plays that you're talking about. Turret going down for Misfits Academy as well. Had priority in that mid lane, and Kozku's worked away at it bit by bit by bit to make sure it was a pretty easy take.
Well, now Baron is a possible objective on the board. Remember, Millenium, very big mid-game spikes.
Pretty sure you have to wait like 25 seconds for Baron to be an objective on the board. Pretty going in for Kadir. Gets the exhaust down, the Phosphorus bomb will take him out. Kozku though, Death Lotus getting the resets, turning his attention over to Pretty now. Jisoo there, flash, dead. Another easy enough kill, the chains onto Norskeren. Looking for the chase, no flash on him. He has exhaust, but his red buff slowed. Yuki looking for the piercing arrow, won't quite connect. Hook again misses. I have to settle for 2 kills for 1.
Still not bad for Misfits Academy. Kadir, a lot of investment is being directed towards him from the side of Millenium to try and get kills down. But Kozku was there to provide the support that Kadir needed.
Building up towards the Zhonya's now as well. Has that Seeker's Arm Guard, has 10 stacks yet to die. Kozku is on a mare at the moment, and Millenium need to wake up from this dream if they're going to be able to get much out of this game.
Like, the moment you said that, my brain instantly went to, great sheep imitation. Being Welsh, that's just where my brain goes.
Yeah. Another turret to target here from Misfits Academy in the bottom lane. Not quite going to be able to work it down. It's been low for a while ever since we saw that Kadir gank, but still not quite able to eke it down. Dragon live in a minute. It's only another cloud. Let's have another look at this fight.
So Millenium just want to try and contest the red buff. They think that they can not only steal it away, but then get the kill down onto Kadir. They don't respect the positioning of Kozku. He just melts through steel. He would have died here if it weren't for the great flash taunt, as well as the flash over the wall from Yuki. Both members of Misfits Academy actually there to provide support. Then they go down to Norskeren. They don't overcommit, and this is the difference between Misfits Academy and Millenium, because Misfits see an opportunity to go for a kill, don't take it, whereas Millenium, they hard commit for a kill, and they end up getting punished.
Bullet time used, Kadir low, Dragon Rage, Pinoy away, Stand United. They haven't taken the turret down, Pinoy will die. Dreams tanked it up for long enough. Kozku there as well, he's low, and here comes the chase from Millenium. The missiles are strong, the chain comes out, Steel just needs one reset to get going, but cannot find the right target, and Misfits Academy escape. They didn't take the tower down though, they do get a kill.
One of the big problems for Misfits right there was that Jisoo did not actually join the fight. His ultimate got interrupted by Mimic. It means that it was actually 4 very low health members from Misfits Academy. They had no frontline, they had no more crowd control, and Millenium could go for the chase. They just didn't want to overcommit because there was the possibility of that turnaround from the Katarina. It was smart from Millenium. They don't lose a tower. They only lost, I believe it was a single kill, so not that bad.
Died. Second Cloud Drake on the cards as well. Millenium have done a strong job of keeping up with these objectives. I mean, you have got a Kha'Zix who's pretty good at taking them or stealing them away, but Misfits Academies maybe have decided that enough is enough. We want to fight over these Cloud Drakes ourselves, and have started to set it up. Mimic does have TP. Jisoo, without Stand United, is already down here, but it allows Mimic a little bit of time just to push up that way.
Pretty needs to be careful.
Death Lotus got away from it very well. Escapes around the edge. Doesn't have exhaust up. Will be up pretty soon though. Kozku keeps jumping in. Still has his ignite. Has used that Death Lotus, but it's a pretty short cooldown. Cloud Drake started. Hits TP in by Mimic. They're fighting over what a lot of people would count an inconsequential Drake. Down to 3,000 HP, and Misfits might just disengage. Jisoo says otherwise. Kozku's down towards the bottom side. Here's Pinoy joining the fight. Setting up towards the top. Here's Kozku. Pretty spotted him. Dragon taken by Kadir. We're going to see a fight in the pit. Kadir jumped on. Steel jumping up towards the side. Trying to catch out Kozku. Mimic has been stunned up. Now Pinoy opens up the double guns and tries to take down Dreams. He will fall. Yuki, the new target for Millenium. Both Jisoo and Kadir have to jump out of the pit. Flash in by Norsko, and he left the lantern. It has been taken. Yuki low. Jisoo low as well as Millenium continue the chase. Kozku is still down towards the bottom of this fight, but no one on Millenium is low enough to snipe away. They'll take away 3 kills. They do lose the Dragon.
I feel like that's a favorable trade for Millenium, though. The fact that they were able to get so many kills
Baron,
and may very well move over to that Baron. They have 5 relatively healthy members. They have 2 AD carries, but they're going to play it safe. They're just going to put priority on opening up the map and taking this tier 1 turret in the mid lane.
It makes sense. You open up the map so much with this mid lane tower. You get control ward vision that you can move up. You can just snipe people out in the enemy jungle. Let's have another look at this replay and this Dragon fight in its entirety.
So you can see Kozku really wants to join the fight, but what is going to happen is, again, watch Kadir, because he's stuck in the pit. He ends up jumping out. The priority is on this Dragon, and Millenium decides to go for the 50-50. It's very difficult for them to actually engage. Because it's a Cloud Drake, it's not the end of the world. Pinoy has joined the fray, so it's a 5 versus 4. And Kozku's just being zoned away by Pretty. Now, watch the kick onto Steel. He's going to get kicked towards Kozku, and that's enough to force him out of the fight. So now you think this is pretty good, because Steel is out of the fight as well, but Pinoy is in such a great position where he's able to get his ultimate onto multiple members, and with no Katarina, with no risk of anyone else getting the collapse down, and still having their frontline tank, Millenium can go for the rest of the collapse. Yes, Pretty did miss the Lantern, but they still get the kills that they need, and it's 3-0. And they end up getting the tower.
As a Thresh main, I just want to say that was actually Norscaren's fault, because he laid the Lantern down, and before Pretty was enraged, he flashed away, so the Lantern stopped. He should have waited for Pretty to pick it up.
Feels bad,
people so rarely pick up Lantern that you have to make sure it counts when they do. Have to keep it in range for them. But as you say, yeah, Millenium pick up 3 kills. Yes, they lose a Cloud Drake. It wasn't the end of the world for them. They'll be very happy to take the mid lane tower and to get themselves back in the gold lead.
So far, very even for both Millenium and Misfits Academy. We talked a lot about how Katarina needs to get this early snowball, and if she can just get zoned out of the fights, then that snowballing power can really not be utilized. The Zhonya's being completed is a big bonus for the Katarina, but both those exhausts are available now for Millenium. So this next team fight is going to be very difficult for Kozku to have an impact. And so far, we're really yet to see Yuki stand up. He is going for this full penetration build. It means that his team fighting power is not as strong. Remember, this build is great against squishies, weak against tanks. And when you have a Maokai on your base, this build is not going to help you get out of that sticky situation. So Misfits Academy, they have to be very selective with when they decide to go for this next big team fight.
Millenium did just give up bot lane tower. Mimic without teleport wasn't able to get down there and stop Jisoo, because they knew if they went down there, Jisoo could teleport in and they could start a fight. So they lose another turret. It means that the gold swings ever so slightly in the favor of Misfits Academy. But as you said, it's incredibly even. We're only looking at 300-400 gold between these two teams, and we're 26 minutes in. Not a single tier 2 tower has gone down yet either. And actually, Jisoo does a great job of just stealing away that blue buff, keeping it away from Pretty to stop him being able to spam out those missiles.
Arguably our closest series of the day so far, at least closest game. When we look back at what's happened throughout the day, Game 1 was a stomp from Schalke. Game 2, Fnatic Academy looked convincing, maybe not as stompy. But now in Series 3, we're seeing Misfits Academy and Millenium trade blows pretty evenly as Coscu goes on to Pretty.
Stand United in. Oh, the Winter Spike doesn't quite connect. Here's Coscu continuing the dive, though. And Jisoo can tank this one up for days. Pretty, you're in a world of hurt, my friend. Misfits will take him down. Kadir gets the kill, and they get the tower. And that's exactly what Misfits wanted.
And now moving around towards the Baron. This is an objective that they could fight for, but I feel it's very risky. You should prioritize on just getting Vision as Dreams gets hooked up.
It does. Min still has to jump away, though, because Coscu is very willing just to be that front line, to jump around, to distract, to dodge, to dip, to dive, to weave, and to keep the enemy on their toes.
So not very much vision gained around the Baron. I feel like a bit of a missed opportunity for Misfits. But we do have to remember that Millenium actually have a number of options to check these brushes. You have the Thresh Hook, you have the Misfortune E, you also have the Kha'Zix W, and when Corki's alive, you have the bombs too. So it's actually a little bit harder for Misfits to actually set up those picks. Nevertheless, Vision has been reclaimed by Millenium. The map returns to neutral. Misfits do pick themselves up the tower up in the top lane, which is now going to give them more freedom. They can look to set up a 1-3-1. You can move your Katarina up to the top lane, as they had already done, and they've been able to get a kill. You move your AD carry and support in mid, and then you have your jungler play towards top side. So you play towards your strong side, because Shen is always going to be able to join the fight whenever he wants. So you just invest all of your vision, all of your jungle attention into the top half of the map, so that Katarina can rotate quickly, or you can rotate quickly to the Katarina.
It makes a lot of sense. Double Black Cleaver here on Millenium as well. So the build coming out from Pinoli is that Black Cleaver, the Lord Dominic's Regards, the Mortal Reminder, and that Yumu's. So looking just to see how much penetration you can really have, how much those bullets can hurt from the bullet time.
I'd say it could penetrate pretty thick steel at this point. Actually,
Yeah.
no, it doesn't. No, what it does is it penetrates, it sucks at penetrating steel, but it's really good at penetrating paper. And like when it does penetrate the paper, it really hurts. Like really, really, really hurts.
So just don't build paper armor is what you're
don't build
telling
paper,
us.
stack armor. But the point is, squishy targets take way more damage from lethality, from this lethality build, which is why Misfortune's actually very good in these fights, because not only does your ultimate easily shred through armor as Mimic now, fade checking.
He'll be okay for the moment. There's a lantern in the bush as well for him if he needs to get out. He's not too worried about face checking, has got that Sunfire cape, the Spirit Visage.
Don't encourage this behavior, Medic.
He can face check, man.
No, don't tell people to face check, Medic.
Oh, Coscu's jumping in. Here's the redemption. He's going to go all the way by himself, straight into the Death Lotus, but the exhaust comes down. Now Mimic turns his attention over towards that Katarina. He's low, though. Still there. Here comes Pretty. He's way too late to the fight. The bullets open up. Pretty now finally getting onto Dreams. Jisoo jumps in. Jisoo might be caught in the wrong position here as the rest of Millenium are able to collapse onto him. And Misfits start a very deep fight and lose 2 members for the favor.
These Misfortune Ultimates are turning around every fight in the favor of Millenium. Things look so bad initially for the side of Millenium. That Katarina was diving onto the backline, getting all these resets. Millenium lost their front line, but then the positioning of Pinoy was just wait and being patient. He has 3 items completed. He's just skipped his boots because all he cares about is damage and penetration. We talked about how easily it goes through paper, and honestly, the entire Misfits lineup looked like paper with the amount of damage that he was doing to them.
I mean, even Dreams is getting melted away by it. He's got a Face of the Mountain, he's got the Ruby Sightstone, he's got a little bit of magic resist as well. Let's see this, because Coscu goes incredibly deep for this dive.
He certainly does. He's the main initiator. He even uses his flash, but he knows he has the support from the Shen ultimate. And it's this point, just look at Pinoy. He's been chunked out a lot. They end up losing Mimic, but he's waiting. He's waiting. He's waiting. Now they group up. Then he unleashes. Shreds through Kadir. Shreds through Coscu. Dreams can't do anything about it. Jisoo gets hooked up because he doesn't have a team left. And you're seeing now the difference between the AD carries. Yes, Yuki, you can throw out a lot of poke. You can do a lot of damage to those unsuspecting targets. But when you compare that to the teamfight prowess of this Misfortune, it pales in comparison.
That it does. Pretty wasn't even at that fight from the start. He came in right at the end just to clean up those last 2 kills. If he's there from the start, or perhaps if he has package next time for a slightly quicker rotation, it's a very different story. Perhaps seeing Misfits lose 3 or 4 members. And now Millenium are gaining control around the Baron. Pretty caught out, has got the package. Will use it to get away. Dreams with the Glacial Fissure. Just a disengage tool for the moment. Kadir perhaps looking for the engage onto Norskeren. Decides against it, and Millenium continue to have the vision advantage around that Baron pit.
You can see Shen still in the bottom lane, has his ultimate available as well as the TP, but Millenium, as you rightly said, Medic, gaining good vision control around the Baron area. Making it difficult for Misfits to check. And you have to respect how quickly that can go down. Double AD carry will very quickly shred through that Baron.
Mimic was waiting a long time in base there in case something happened, and perhaps allowing Millenium the opportunity to bait something, because Mimic can get there with the home guard and that teleport in. Jisoo, now he's pushed the wave up far enough that Mimic has to deal with it, which means that really Millenium can't make the play in the way they'd want to, so they've all backed away from the river, and it allows Misfits an opportunity to get in there and get some wards of their own.
So now the game has started to slow down. We talked about this being our closest game of the day. I feel that so far it's living up to it. Even with Misfits, having an ever so slight gold advantage. That's really only coming from the turret and the CS. I mean, actually that's quite a question mark as to where all that gold is coming from. Because there is only a slight tower advantage. But in terms of the CS, they're actually pretty even across the board. You could argue that it comes a lot from the kills. A lot of shutdown gold as well.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, Misfits have actually been able to reclaim vision control around the Baron. I feel like Millenium shouldn't have allowed this to happen. I guess you had to send your Misfortune to go and deal with the push in mid lane. But you can't as easily concede this vision. Baron is a very big objective, and giving away free wards is something that you really don't want to do.
Like, both teams have pretty strong player anyway. With Yuki, you know, got a piercing arrow. Kozku can chuck out a bouncing blade from time to time. It's not amazing on the side of Misfits, but it's enough to clear a wave. Millenium have great clear. You've got phosphorus bombs, you've got Pinoy, you can just double up and put their make it rain down as well. But you have to feel that Baron is basically what these two teams need now. Either of them gets this, they can try and start closing out the game, get towards those inhibitors. If they don't, it's a long road. You need a pick, or you need someone just to miss position for you actually to be able to do anything.
The thing is, Millenium have a comp that's good enough to match the 1-3-1 of Misfits Academy. Kozku isn't far enough ahead of this Corki to say that he can confidently go into it and snowball. So this Baron is so important for both teams to be able to close out this game.
Stand United in. Kozku's been slowed up and Millenium disengaged. Nor scaring the target. The bullet time over 3 though. Kadir jumps in, but he's dead. And now it's a 4v4 around the Baron. This could be the deciding moment of the fight. Kozku's low, somehow surviving. He's got out alive, and now Pretty jumps in. Jisoo there as well. Misfits cleaning up. It's 3v2. Yuki's still alive somehow. Jisoo taking damage from Benoy, who's still managing to get those autos down from the backline. Jisoo jumps in, concussive blows, Winter's bite. Benoy just about survives. Somehow he gets away, and Mimic will chase and chase to his heart's content. Jisoo might be able to escape eventually, but Mimic isn't gonna let him try. Continues to chase him down. I'm gonna slow down the play-by-play for this a little bit, because it's gonna be a little bit slower. Mimic eventually gets the kill. Somehow Pinoy got out alive.
3 for 4 in favor of Millenium, but the key thing is that Pinoy survived. It will not result in any objectives, but it will enable Millenium to quickly reclaim control over that Baron area and set up for another fight. That was such a drawn-out engagement, not just because the Shen and the Maokai were going back and forth, but because of how Misfits tried to use Kozku as the engage tool. Every time they want to try and get that Shen ultimate on top of Kozku, because he's the one that can make the most use out of it, but Norskurin just played that so well. Watch in the way in which Kozku sets it up. Norskurin is actually surprisingly squishy. He might have a lot of health, but he doesn't have very many resistances. So the moment they start off the Baron, the magic resistance is already going to get reduced, just as a result of the debuff from the Baron. And then you have Kozku jump in, throw out the ultimate, but then a great play from Norskurin to interrupt Kozku so he can't get the reset. Kadir trades his life to interrupt the ultimate, and at this point, Kozku, or Pinoy, sorry, isn't really putting out that much damage. You think Kozku can escape, but no. Mimic is chasing him on the backline. Pretty ends up going down. And if Yuki could survive this, it would have swung the favor in Misfits' favor, but because of a great double up from Pinoy and a beautiful flash right at the last second, Millenium are able to come out with a team fight win. 3 for 4, but again, it doesn't result in actual anything.
Like, it's just a Baron fight, and now in a few minutes I expect us to have a very similar Baron fight, because that's exactly what's going to happen between these two teams. No objectives taken. Actually, Dreams gets hooked in, and Millenium are diving on towards the Braum. Kadir's there in the front line. Pinoy opens up the bullets and takes down the Dreams of Misfits Academy. Now they'll turn their eyes towards the Purple Worm once again. and try and take down this Baron. Kadir can steal, has Flash, has Dragon's Rage as well. 3,000 HP on that. Redemption used. Kozku's jumped in. Baron reject, and Pinoy is dead. Kozku there. Here's Kadir.
Oh,
he gets
the steal.
He gets the steal. Misfits Academy somehow still alive. Pretty jumped on by Kadir, almost takes him down. The hook will land, but he gets the steal.
Kadir, we said you wanted to make yourself known. We said you wanted the highlight play, and that was exactly how you do it. You get the kill onto Steel, you steal away his Baron, and you keep the hope of Misfits Academy alive.
Wow. Wow is all you can say after a fight like that. Kozku basically sacrificing himself to take out Pinoy. The bullet time was already used only onto Dreams. And Millenium will be ruining the fact that they went for what was, in essence, a 50-50 Baron because Kadir was still alive.
They didn't realize the positioning of Kadir, and I feel like that was a big misplay now. Misfits Academy, they want to deny this Elder Dragon, but Millenium can't afford to give it up either. Now bear in mind that Pinoy is already alive, Steel is already alive. Misfits just need to buy enough time for Kozku and Kadir to rejoin the fight. They should be able to keep this Elder Dragon alive, but look at the gold gap. It's still exactly the same as it was before the Baron happened. 3,000
gold the difference, and Misfits have to work out exactly how they're going to push forward. If they are going to push forward, you know, do you just set up vision around the Elder Drake? Do you go for that? Do you go for the team fight advantage that gives you, especially when you've got someone like Katarina who thrives with the extra true damage, or do you look for a 1-3-1? Do you look to try and push in with these Baron-empowered minions?
This is the big question.
Can't believe he got this.
We have to look back, because this was a long fight. Remember that Dreams is the initial target. He gets caught out of position, clearing out the vision alone. He doesn't quite have the support from his team. Ends up getting punished for it. Katarina, you think this is a great opportunity for her to go in, but that bullet time is why you can't. So now you're in a 3 versus 5. Millenium have 280 carries, so they can quickly weather this Baron down. But have a look at how much damage Steel actually takes from the Baron pit, right? Kozku goes in. He does a lot of damage, buys a huge amount of time, is able to actually get the kill onto Millenium, and then it's actually, oh, that was so good, Kadir. Yeah. He goes in, kills Kadir, then gets the smite steal, and even though he loses his life, the fact that the objective was taken is all that matters. I didn't realize that actually in the fight, he kicks him straight in the face and denies the steal.
It's great play by him. Oh, Misfits looking for something onto Pretty, but a great Dark Passage will get himself away to safety. Norscarin there. As you said, Norscarin not tanky at all. He's only got an Aegis of the Legion and the Redemption. Really no pure statistics on him. A bit of armor and a bit of magic resist as well. They're hooked. Pinoy perhaps looking for a flank, but he needs to be careful as to how he opens up. There's no one there, Pinoy. Opening up into blank space. Kozku went for the chase. Pinoy tries to retreat. Flash. Norscarin in. Kozku hooked, but the Zhonya's comes down. There's no bullet time to follow this up. Kozku is low. Exhaust down on him. He survives until Steel gets on him. Now Pinoy is going to get taken down as well. Steel looking for the reset. Will just about take out Yuki, but then jumps his way away. It's up to Mimic to try him 1v3. There's not a huge amount of damage in the rest of Misfits, in all honesty. Mimic can probably continue this one for a long time, and Steel,
oh my god,
like Steel can just go and try and regen a little bit, and then come back into the fight if he needs to. They've decided just to leave him because you can't take down a Maokai.
All of the carries keep dying in these fights because of how strong Shen and Maokai are. It is so difficult for Misfits to win out because of the double exhaust that is making it incredibly hard for Kozku to get the reset. Every time he dives in, he gets immediately shut down. He's being denied any opportunity to get a huge amount of reset potential off. And you can see here again, Kozku gets zoned away by the bullet time a little bit, but then he's able to dive onto the backline. He wants to go for Pinoy, but isn't quite able to. Norscarin goes to the flash onto Kozku, but he has enough shields and the Zhonyas to buy time, and then he's just going to go for the ulti here. I think that was a bit of a mistake because it gives Steel the reset, but Pinoy then gets left by his lonesome. Steel just doing what he can. He then joins onto the backline with Mimic to shut down Yuki, but then you realize, oh, all our carries are dead and nobody can kill anyone. Mimic is literally unkillable at this point. He's even built Frozen Heart to stop Yuki, or to make Yuki even more useless.
It's working out for him at the moment. Nothing really they could do into him there. Yuki's gone Edge of Night and the Quicksilver Sash, so as much magic resist as he can get and as many shields as he can. Millenium start up the Elder Dragon, 8,000 HP on it, and actually Misfits are a little bit slow to respond. Kadir is here. I'm pretty sure Millenium won't want another opportunity for the steal. Hook not quite going to connect. Steel Faces up against Kadir. There's a GA on that Lee Sin though. Here we go, Millenium looking for it. Here comes Kadir once again. Gets the steal. Holy moly, Kadir! What an absolute god in this fight. Now Millenium have to retreat. Kosku jumps in, but he's been exhausted. The Zonya's used straight away, but he's going to get caught up in the bullet time. It's actually Kadir who takes the brunt of it. Mimic on the back line. Steel jumping in. He's dead. Kosku's still alive. Somehow eventually goes down. Kadir escapes through the GA, but Pinoy and Pretty are still alive here. And Misfits have to retreat. They've got Elder Drake, but they've got no HP. And they've got no cooldowns either. Pretty almost falls. Millenium decide they don't want any more of this. Ends up being a 1-for-1.
Jungler for mid laner, but Kadir steals another objective. Millenium try to rush it down, but again Kadir with a beautiful kick into a beautiful steal. This man just cannot stop, and he is the main reason as to why Misfits are still in this game.
He's the only reason they're still in this game. If that Baron goes to Millenium, and they can push with Mimic, who'd still have it, with Pinoy, with Norskeren, who'd still have it. That's a totally different ball game. Let's have another look at this, because Kadir just can do no wrong this game.
So Kadir comes in from the flank. The Shen is just waiting to ulti the right target. Pretty is playing on the back line because he wants to get as much poke down as he can. And then Kadir knows, I'm just going to kick steal away. He can't smite. Nothing he can do about it. Goes to the QR combo. And then Kosku dives onto the backline super aggressively. The Shen has already arrived, so he doesn't get the assistance. He's forced to flash away because of the bullet time, and then he just gets locked up by both Mimic and Steel. The fact that he can kill Steel is actually very impressive there, but it's not enough to shred through Mimic. And then at this point, Misfits want to try and turn onto the carries, but Yuki just doesn't quite deal enough damage. He's all about the poke rather than the team fight. And therefore he can only rely on landing these Qs, which in an extended fight is great, but when you have such a clash of bodies all in this mess in the jungle, you really see how this full lethality build loses its value.
Pretty sure this is the longest game we've had today. Mimic has an elixir of iron, I believe, as well, on towards that Maokai. It looks just a little bit more meowy than usual.
A mighty oak treads through the woods, bringing destruction. Cats.
Destruction and cats. That is a movie I would watch, I bet it is. the tree ants are going to
just
pets
like
for us.
Alone in the woods, you hear the footsteps of the giant oak. Meow.
Well, Misfits trying to fell an oak that is this tower in the bottom lane. Jisoo's been doing a pretty strong job with this split push now. He's got Titanic Hydra as well as that GA. I don't think he'll really care too much about Mimic. It's like, nah, there's a turret here, mate. I don't really mind too much about you. We'll back away eventually. And actually, it looks like there might be a fight beginning on the other side, because Misfits Academy were positioning themselves with a little bit of a Barney, but decide against it for the time being. Oh, flash, Norskeren onto Dreams. Here's Pretty as well. Kadir jumps in. Mimic gets the flank off. Redemption used. Kadir's joined the fight. Norskeren's low. Pretty there doing a lot of work. Where's Pinoy? Hasn't really done much this fight. Opens up the bullet time. Does land onto Kosku, but now he's in between all of the members of Misfits and will get taken down. Kosku comes back to life as well. Misfits clean up 3 and only lose Kadir.
Millenium tried to force a fight. He lands a hook onto Dreams, and that is not the target you want to be getting if you are Norskeren. It enables Kosku to just reposition in a way that just shreds through the lineup of Millenium. Pinoy joins the fight way too late, and now Misfits should be able to secure themselves a Baron with only Pretty and Mimic alive. The risk of a steal is so low. Oh, but Kadir is actually dead as well, so there's no smite. If Millenium want to contest, there's a high possibility that there's the option.
I think you contest, just because if you lose this Baron, I feel you just lose the game. They're going to go for it. The Baron down to 6,000 HP. Mimic there, Chains of Corruption. Pretty dodges out towards the side, and Misfits have had to disengage. Mimic has got the concussive blows on him now, and Pretty, Valkyrie's away. Kosku jumps forward, so does Yuki with the flash. Dreams, slow, Pretty, low, Pretty, dead as well as Kosku jumps onto Mimic. Uses the Zonyas once again. Jisoo hooked up. Mimic's going to try and get the kill, but look at the burst coming out from Misfits. They'll get the GA and they will retreat. No Baron, but they get 1 kill. Jisoo hooked in, still has his own GA. Misfits actually might be going low here because the box comes down. Kosku's left this fight. He's down right towards the bottom side. Misfits still retreating away from Millenium, who are unrelenting in their chase. Not quite able to land the final hook from Norskeren. No Baron, but a kill for Misfits.
Good disengage from Misfits, but let's backtrack to where this whole fight started off. Norskeren goes in for the flash hook. I think he wants to land the hook onto Kosku, or Yuki isn't quite able to do it. you can see Kadir comes in with the flash. They're able to lock up Steel very efficiently. Quick double kill out for the side of Misfits, and then Pinoy just joins the fray too late. While he does get the kill down onto Kadir and burns the GA from the Katarina, it's not really enough to win them out of the fight. And now Baron is being started up once again from Misfits. Pretty is down. 4 members on the side of Millenium.
Steel trying to live up to his name. Mimic no TP as well. He's in the bottom side, trying to distract Jisoo, has got the stand united. Misfits will back away. Here goes Steel onto Yuki. Bullet time, Yuki's dead. Kosku, next target, hook. Not quite going to land, but the stand united comes down. Steel is low. He needs to try and retreat, but you can't get away from Jisoo when you've used your leap. Pretty back alive now, and Mimic down towards the bottom side of this fight can join if he wants. This game keeps on giving, VODS. And Millenium keep on denying Misfits that Baron.
Terrible positioning from Yuki. There was no reason whatsoever for him to be there. He ends up deservedly getting punished from the side of Millenium. An AD carry this late into the game should not be face-checking into a brush that you have no control over. Could have gone horribly wrong for Misfits, could have given the Baron over to Millenium, but fortunately for Misfits, Steel ends up over-aggressing. He thinks that he can get another kill onto Kosku, doesn't respect the Shenel, and they're able to make it a 1-for-1. So both teams disengage, but mistakes like that could be deadly moving forward.
That they could, and in fact Deadly is of course the substitute AD carry for Misfits Academy as well. Wonder to see if we'll see him at some point. Yuki's had a good game though, at the moment, not really a need to sub him out at the moment, but you never know. Having a challenger there always inspires players to play better. Misfits Academy once again setting up around the Baron, looking to see what they can garner in terms of vision control. Corky's a little bit out of position, pretty up towards that top side. We'll just back away. And once again, the game pretty much resets.
At this point, gold means very little. Everyone is pretty much at full build. I think everyone is in fact at full build. So at this point, gold means nothing. It is all about the skill of team fights, how well they execute upon it. Likely that Misfits are just waiting for the GA to come back up for Kosku. Very important ability. Surprised that he doesn't have a death cap. At this point in the game, I would trade out that Mora Malmortius for a death cap. I feel that it is so valuable, especially with the ratios that Kat has. Her ability to deal her ability to deal damage in these late game fights is just what will enable Misfits to win. And not having that Wizard's hat could very well be detrimental to them.
Got 3 GAs on the side of Misfits Academy as well. Kosku's isn't quite up yet, but Mimic's still waiting on his as well. Needs to make a slight correction. Deadly's actually the sub for Misfits, not Misfits Academy. So I apologize for that, guys. But Millenium once again setting up around this Baron. It seems to be something I've said a few times in the last few minutes, because that's basically what both these teams are doing there.
The thing is, like, it's the point in the game where Baron is the only real objective to play for. You could set up a 1-3-1, but because of how much damage they do...
Norskeren caught out, kicked back. The rest of Millenium are here. TP coming in. Norskeren survives. Hook just misses onto Kosku. Mimic has TP'd in. Jisoo still in base, has stand united, will perhaps look to join the fight if he needs to, but Misfits have disengaged properly, and now Millenium are looking to Baron.
So we need to look at what ultimates we used. Braum's ultimate is gone. Kadir's ultimate is gone. Mimic still has everything available. Millenium still have the majority of things available, and they're the ones that are going to force the Baron.
Kadir looking for the steal once again. Kosku jumps in, stand united on him. He's knocked up, he's in the Donyas, and Millenium have done a great job of retreating. Steel's dead. Pinoy, shadow dash onto him. He's been taunted. Jisoo's just chasing onto the backline. Misfits are cleaning up shop. Millenium fall one by one. A quadra for Yuki. No, Kosku!
He steals away the pentakill!
It's been a game of steals, and Kosku with the final steal of them all. Steals the penta from Yuki. Misfits Academy now going to barrel down mid lane and look perhaps to end the game.
There are 45-second death timers on every single member of Millenium. There is nothing standing in the Misfits Academy way. They have 5 members strong, and it is likely that they're going to end things right here.
Yeah, going for that first inhibitor turret. They can just continue to barrel down this mid lane. 20 seconds on Steel, 30 seconds on the rest of the team. Misfits Academy close this one out. They're getting the Nexus Towers. Very happy to tank those up, even using the Glacial Fissure for a little bit of good measure. Misfits Academies will go 1-0 up in this series, but we've still got one game to play.
Ooh, 50-minute game from Misfits Academy. A game that literally could have gone either way. Very enjoyable, very back and forth, a couple of misplays here and there, well, a lot of misplays, but a lot of that came also down to, honestly, just some immense team fighting at the very late stages. You can't necessarily criticize either team because when you get that late into the game, it becomes very back and forth, really difficult to properly position, really difficult to actually get the right targets that you want, especially with all the GAs, the QSSs, exhaust, like, it was super difficult, but in the end, it was Millenium that made the decision to start the Baron, and Kozku, like a hero, just flashes in, ulti, Shunpo, no hesitation. He baits out a lot of ultimates with the Zhonyas, and is then able to win the fight overall. So really